Hey everybody, it's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric astrologer, coming to talk to you about the events of December 2017. Excuse me, my throat feels a little funny, so I might be drinking water through this. Okay, first order of business, which I'm always saying is not so scary, is Mercury is turning retrograde. I'm actually doing the video on December 3rd, and it's turning retrograde like right now. And let's just tell you some of the nuts and bolts of that retrograde for those of you who know those things. It's retrograding in Sagittarius at 29 degrees, which is the final degree of Sag. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it will go back to 13 degrees of Sagittarius and go forward on, let's say, the 22nd of December. And for those of you who like to follow this sort of thing, when Mercury catches up with itself and starts covering new ground, that's going to be January 11. And when was it 13 degrees of Sagittarius before it whenever it went retrograde was November 15th. So sometimes people think the time between November 15th and the 3rd of December when it actually goes retrograde is worse. It feels more confusing in that umbrella time. So those of you who feel that, we're actually in the retrograde. Okay. So what's intriguing about this retrograde is it's right next to Saturn. So Saturn is going to go into Capricorn, which is its own sign. We'll talk about that. That happens on December 20. And Saturn changes signs once every 2.5 years. So it's a big deal when Saturn changes signs. But at the end of Saturn being in a sign, there can be, or any planet really, a wrap up of that theme. So Sagittarius is very random and varied and, can be undisciplined, and Saturn is the planet of discipline, So as Saturn is at the last few degrees of Sagittarius, it's kind of like remembering that theme of having some structure around your dream can make that dream happen, or having an order around your thoughts helps you communicate more effectively to others, or that combination of the flexibility within planning, or I used to have a friend when I was, I don't know what sign she was, but she used to say, fail to plan, plan to fail, which can kind of be a theme of that Saturn and Sagittarius, and Sag is like, I don't want to plan, but that idea that when we do put structure, things are more effective. But there also can be a relief of, Sagittarius is your belief system, and Saturn is like, where do you have holes in that belief system, or where has it not held up, or any disappointments about your spiritual beliefs, your spiritual practices? Have you been not being in alignment with them and thinking, oh, this doesn't work, or, yoga's lame, and it's like, well, I'm not even doing the yoga practice. I say I do, but I pay for the membership and never go to classes, or things like that, or it's hard to meditate but you give up too easily. That kind of thing can be, Saturn can say, well, put a little more time in and you get the result. But also it could be time to add new things into your belief system that do fit who you are. And sometimes Saturn and Sag can be that you've given your power away to others and need to take it back from someone else's concept and say, does this really resonate with me? And be comfortable with what does resonate with you. So the idea that Mercury is right, so Saturn's moving along, and here comes Mercury, and then they kind of hung out together for a few weeks, and a lot of people felt very poopy over the past few weeks, really depressed or anxious. It was part of that Mercury slowing down, following along with Saturn, because normally if Mercury's your thinking process and Saturn is very careful, that can come down to slightly depressed thinking. But normally Mercury passes by Saturn in a day. So to have it slowing down like this and sitting with Mercury sitting with Saturn, and then Saturn continues to go forward and Mercury goes backwards. Eventually Mercury will just go right past Saturn in January. Just wouldn't have probably noticed that too much, but I should tell you the day that happens would be like the 13th of January. But as it's going retrograde right now, there's this sense of having some more gentleness around what you've been struggling with. Because Mercury can be like, maybe it would be more effective if I were to communicate more clearly in my relationship, or believe that there's more job opportunities for me and go looking around for those. Or if I want to attain this goal, to keep moving towards it on a steady basis. Because that is also another thing that the Sagittarius blend is with Capricorn, with Saturn, like Capricorn, is staying steady toward that goal, and the small things add up to the big reward. Sometimes Sag wants the big reward without working for it, thinks it'll just happen, and it's like, no, Saturn says, little by little you get the big wow moment. So that Mercury retrograding right where Saturn is like, how could I be more gentle with myself about bringing that about? What could I add in to make that happen? What do I let go of? Some negative thinking or a negative belief system that doesn't support me anymore. So it's kind of reviewing a lot of that stuff. Of course, Mercury retrograde at the end of the year is a great time to review the year in general. What worked, what didn't, what you're grateful for, what you didn't like, what you want to, build toward for next year, and kind of starting with a fresh mind. So it's great to do any review of the year like that. So the other interesting thing about this Mercury retrograde Saturn thing that's happening right now is when we have the new moon in Sagittarius, it's exactly at the point, like around 26 degrees, where Mercury and Saturn have conjuncted here as they're about to change signs. They've been working 26, 27, 28, 29 degrees, and that new moon is in there too, and that's on the 18th of the month. And that can also be part of that commitment to your values and the dreams, and kind of like coming out of that. If there is a beating yourself up time that's been going on mid-November into this retrograde or the panic, it's like, oh, well, it is going to happen. Or, dreams do come true. Or if I just alter myself this way, I'm going to get that payoff, or have success in that area or feel happier or whatever. So that moon can give a boost of enthusiasm that we've kind of lost that end of November time if you got into that. Okay. So then we'll talk about Saturn going into Capricorn, which is its own sign. Saturn rules Capricorn, and then it'll stay in there for 2.5 years. Saturn doesn't have to be all bad. Some people think, oh God, I'm having a Saturn transit, I won't have any fun, or I'll, work too hard or lose money or, be sad or whatever. But Saturn and Capricorn can be just really great for accomplishing goals and looking very clearly at it, sort of unemotionally about what works, what doesn't work, And, I'm not a political astrologer, but, Saturn and Capricorn really creates a lot of alignment in government structures and integrity stuff, and really that's already sort of started with things that have been going on in the media and stuff, and just every industry being from, okay, what is the proper alignment, and sticking in proper alignment, and really noticing what's out of alignment, and the intolerance of lack of alignment. Saturn in Capricorn can be that too, so that's to look forward to or not look forward to, whatever your perspectives are about those things. But it's always good to have things working as they should, and feeling governments get back to the business of protecting people and all this crazy stuff. Saturn and Capricorn don't like that crazy stuff. The Saturn in Sagittarius, things get a little out of hand maybe, and Saturn goes into Capricorn. It's like, let's bring this back to center and see what's real. What's the purpose of doing any of this anyway, with government, with rules, with corporations? That's kind of that thing that they're meant to help things run smoothly. And that also, another thing that Saturn and Capricorn represents is, and this is more of an esoteric principle of Capricorn and Saturn, is divine service. And we even call political people public servants, and so the idea that government serves the people, or the corporations are, serving whoever they're creating products for or doing whatever. They're not just, making money and stuff. So there's this a return to ethics in a lot of ways with the Saturn and Capricorn. Not that Saturn and Sag isn't about ethics, because it is, but it's a slightly different way. It's more strong, clicking into place sort of way, like a chiropractic adjustment is real sudden, and then, feel better, So that's sort of Saturn and Capricorn. Personally, for you, it can have a lot to do with, again, your own personal ethics and being, again, sort of clear with yourself about, why don't things work? And not just, Sagittarius is more like, I wonder why it doesn't work. But Saturn and Capricorn, it's like, oh yeah, that. And then I just don't do that, and it works. Or I do that, and it works. Or I endure through something a little longer, and that's worth it, you know. So it's not that much of a bummer to have it going into its own sign. And Capricorns themselves have great opportunities for, you know, major success in relationships, business, whatever, personal growth, meeting those goals that you have for yourself. And yeah, it's sort of allowing the natural order to happen. So a lot of reaping good karma comes a lot with Saturn in Capricorn, or for Capricorns when Saturn goes into Capricorn. The other thing we've got changing signs, not a huge deal, but Mars is going into Scorpio on the 8th or 9th of the month. And that happens once every 2 years that Mars goes into Scorpio for about 2 months. But what's kind of neat is Jupiter's in Scorpio right now. And towards the end of December and then on into January, Mars and Jupiter work together. And Jupiter is linked with Sagittarius, so it has a kind of goals, ideas, or the vision of the future. See, Jupiter and Sag are like the vision of the dream and the goal. And Saturn and Capricorn are more like accomplish the thing. They're sort of similar but different. The visionary component and the moving towards it is the Jupiter and the Sagittarius component, but the steps you take to do it and you get to the top of the mountain, that kind of feeling is Saturn and Capricorn. But so Jupiter itself with Mars is like, yeah, we're doing it, we're taking the action, and Jupiter's like, we're going, you know. And so that's a nice boost going into the end of the year, new year, for New Year's resolutions, integrity in finances, even sexual relationships, emotional trust with others, deepening your connection with people in an intimate way, honesty, exposing vulnerabilities and becoming closer. A lot of this can be Mars and Jupiter together in Scorpio, that I want to take the risk and get more out of life. You know, I want to express that I'm vulnerable and you know me more. I want to invest in something and have it pay off, you know, financially. I want to tackle my fears about that I have debt or I have, you know, some insecurity in a relationship, whatever. And once I tackle that fear, I feel so much better and I'm moving forward with ease. So that's kind of the neat thing about Mars going into Scorpio and running side by side with Jupiter. So let's see, anything else to tell you about? Oh, right. So we're talking about Saturn going into Capricorn, but also, of course, the Sun will go into Capricorn at the end of December, and then Venus goes into Capricorn too. So we've got Sun and Venus and Saturn all together, and that is a great time for you really appreciating yourself, really focusing on self-love. And if you look at the whole year, you know, for instance, how far you've come, what you've accomplished, what you've learned if you didn't accomplish the things you wanted, you know, the kindness of moving into next year and building the life you want, and being a friend to yourself and not a mean coach or, you know, I don't know, drill sergeant to yourself, you know, that self-appreciation. Also appreciating family, and it's just kind of nice. A lot of people at the end of the year with the holidays, like, oh, you have the holidays to get over and the uncle to leave or visit and go home or this kind of stuff. It's like, you know, appreciating, you know, maybe people aren't here forever. Like, it's kind of a funny theme of Saturn and Capricorn, just time going by, and appreciating that we're here now. And even if it's quirks that people have, just kind of thinking, you know, it's kind of a sweet moment, even though it's annoying or something, or kind of having a poise within yourself to appreciate who's around you and what they're about, and finding a warmth in there somewhere in all the what there is to do for the holidays kind of stuff. So that's kind of a neat thing too. Anything you also want to do with financial planning and stuff is terrific for all that Capricorn thing at the end of the year, especially with the Venus and Saturn being together. They're not there that long, but it can be kind of a nice intro again to that Saturn and Capricorn, and about how you want to be using your finances or creating a new budget for yourself or something is good too. Or even, I know a lot of people get into the eating habits change, for the beginning of the year, and kind of seeing about the balance between depriving yourself, which can be the Saturn, and they're going to do it, I'll never, eat an extra calorie forever. And the Venus is like, I want to enjoy my life, and when am I going to go out to eat? And then I might go over the calories, or I might have the sweets, or I might have the whatever. And that balance between what's the greatest loving thing I can do to myself, to have a plan, but allow myself to enjoy my life too. So if you're getting into those New Year's resolutions, make them fluid so that you don't feel like I failed. You want to leave room for that Venus in there to say, it's going to be okay. If I'm mostly moving toward a shift, and I feel I'm acting toward making loving choices towards my body, that's the point. It's not 1,200 calories a day or something like that. So you want to have a livable resolution. That's not just a structure you want to break out of on January 5th. You know what I mean? So, okay, so if you want to get in touch with me, it's alunamichaels.com, or you can connect with me, text, phone 248-583-1663. I do have gift certificates available for the holidays. If you're interested in that, contact me. And some people say, can I make a gift to myself? I'm like, yeah, you can use it for yourself too. So have a good holiday season, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye for now.